Good evening, everybody. Just want to thank you all for being here. Tonight, we are fortunate enough to have had one company, and that's Genentech, to be able to support tonight's program. And not only that, but we have a patient advocate that runs around the country. His name is Paul Pelland, okay, and he does a lot of fundraising for MS Views and News. And all of his fundraising goes towards our rural programs or programs in small suburbia areas. So we want to thank them both, all right? Let's give them a round of applause. All right, Jeff Segal is the recipient of the National Strength and Conditioning Association Personal Trainer of the Year Award. Yay, Jeff, right? Jeff has written articles for numerous MS publications in addition to others such as Shape Magazine. He's the owner of Balanced Personal Training, and he's also a national motivational and educational speaker. He's a graduate of a far local university, Florida State University, and he's a person living with MS since I don't know when. All right, anyway, let's welcome Jeff Segal, okay?
Thank you. Terrible evening. Everybody starts with good evening, so I don't want to be the same as everybody else. So let's have a horrible time, and that's the end of my talk. I want to go over what I believe the meaning of life is. That's learning as much as you can, understanding it, and then giving it back to the people that you know, or the group of people like you guys. So I've spent my whole life learning. In fact, I remember when I was finishing up with kindergarten, my teacher told me that I'm the most mature in the class. And I don't know if that was because I was 11 or if it was because... No, I'm just kidding. I do remember my first teacher I had and the last teacher I had. And it's important. Teaching is difficult. We have any teachers in the room? Teachers and nurses, you got to give them credit because they're like the front line. If it wasn't for teachers, we wouldn't be here doing anything because we wouldn't know much. Living with MS isn't easy. But guess what? Living without MS isn't either. And if you guys came here to find out what the secret cure is, you came to the wrong place. I'm hoping that you leave here with the idea of hard work pays off. Because if you're not willing to bust your tail to do something, don't expect the results that you're envisioning without doing them. It's not going to happen. How many people in here have time and time again done something without giving effort and had a great outcome to your standards? It doesn't happen that often. We are in a time right now, which is a great time but a horrible time in the history of, I guess, modern history, because everything's been made so simple. Everything has been made so easy for us to do, it's within reach. Whether it be food, whether it be communication, you don't have to go somewhere to talk to somebody. You don't have to cook a whole meal to eat dinner. But the chances are the food that you're going to replace it with that you got it that was real quick to make or quick to pick up is not that good of food. In fact, if you were to take the majority of the foods that are cheap and easy to get and all that stuff and you put it on the counter, you can leave it there for a long time and no ants are going to come and eat it. And if ants don't eat it, you shouldn't either. Because that means, it's full of garbage. And if it doesn't go bad, there's another reason. All the additives and stuff that they add to the foods, it's not even like the food was supposed to be originally. And for someone who says don't have fruit for dessert because it's got sugar, guess what? Don't eat the fried chicken you had for lunch. Don't eat the steak you had for dinner. Don't put the gravy and all this stuff and then ask for your vodka with a diet Sprite in it. This is all simple stuff. This is all as simple as it gets. But we make it difficult because we want it to be easy, and then we try to do something and say, oh, why can't I lose weight? Well, guess what? You know how long it took you to gain the weight that you have on you? And you want to take it off how fast? In a week? That took you 30, 40 years to put on, and you think it's difficult to lose weight. That's right. It's quick to lose weight. It's much faster to lose weight than it is to put it on. And it's more enjoyable because it comes with an accomplishment. There's nothing better than feeling good about something that you did, that you accomplished. And that's why I'm in the exercise field. I love what I do. It's not work to me. It's enjoyable. I wake up every morning at 4:15, 4:20. I work with people. Then after I'm done working with people, I go to the beach, I watch the sun come up. And after the sun comes up and I get that beautiful, I usually take a picture. I think to myself, I don't care what happens the rest of the day. This has been a great day. And it's 7 o'clock in the morning. Now, to feel that and go through the rest of the day, I coast through the rest of the day. And at the end of the day, I look back and I say, wow, after that point, how many people have I helped? How many people have I helped get to their goals? And they feel great about it. How many people in here have ever done something like an exercise program where you had a goal and you actually you got to the end. You got to the end point and it was what you wanted to do. Okay? Now, out of you guys, how many of you continue to do it after you hit your goal? That's one of the biggest things that we got to learn. We're, a few days after the first of the year. How many people had these ideas of what they were going to do once the first of the year comes? All these changes that we're going to make, that we were going to make last year, that we were going to make the year before last, and 5 years ago, and 10 years ago. And guess what? It's just like every Monday that the diet starts. Wednesday, it's over. The first of the year, the 5th, it's over. You don't have to wait till next year to do it, and you don't have to wait till the first of the year to do it. Do it now. Everything is about right now because everything happens right now. And if you think it's going to happen later or you put it off, it's never going to come. That day and that time will never come that you're going to do the things that you promised yourself you're going to do. And you know what a letdown it is compared to doing something that has a result that you like? I mean, how many of you won something? If you win something, what do you want to do? You want to win something again, or you want to share the story with somebody. To me, the feeling and joy of not really winning but accomplishing something, it's not as good as if I share it with other people. And I can tell you about weight loss. I've lost 100 pounds in my life, and I didn't lose it in a week. I lost it in 2 weeks. No, I'm just kidding. I lost it over, about a half a pound a week because I was a big guy. I was obviously 100 pounds more than I am today. Right now, I eat as much as I can and I can't gain weight, but I'm also on my feet most of the day, working with other people all the time, and I have to be one step ahead of the game. Because if I'm one step behind, someone else is going to take my place. Just like in sports. I can do what I'm doing longer than athletes can do what they do at a professional level because it's a career of mine that's not going to end when I'm 35. And I'll tell you, when I turn 35, I'm going to continue to do what I'm doing. That was more than a decade ago. But I feel good. And I'm happy when somebody tells me that, hey, you look great. I say thank you. That means the world to me. You know why? Because I bust my ass to feel and look good. And when you guys are told that you guys look good, don't take it as an insult. I know that's that whole thing about having MS and being told that you look good, but damn it, what if it's because you're trying hard and you're doing a good job and you feel good about yourself and that smile that you give off is something that spreads to somebody else and they tell you that you look good because of that, and you might be feeling horrible inside, but you have enough in you to give that smile and let other people know that, hey, here I am. I've got MS, I'm living with it. And you know what? I'm going to die with it someday. That's what's going to happen to me. I've been living with MS for over 20 years. And I haven't died yet, but if I have, you guys tell me, please. But I'm full of energy. I'm full of energy because I use the energy that I have and I utilize it the best I possibly can. And I don't feel tired like some people say they feel tired. And I'm not saying that MS doesn't cause fatigue. MS does cause fatigue. That's a major symptom of MS. In fact, how many people in here, with a show of hands, have fatigue in this room that have MS? Now, if you don't have MS, everyone can put your hands on. If you don't have MS, I want you to raise your hand if you get fatigued. Okay? Well, think about that. We all get fatigued. You know why? Because we're human, and if we didn't do a little bit more, we're not going to get a little bit more the next time we try. We're going to get a little bit less. So it's a gradual thing that you do. It's exercise. If you do the same exercise program every day, day in and day out for the rest of your life, you know you're going to get nowhere. You're going to have kind of a maintenance program, but you're not going to excel. You're not going to get better. And when you exercise, you want to get better. You want to get stronger. You want the movements to be smoother, and you want everything to be a little bit more efficient. And that's what comes with exercise. At the end of an exercise program, which I say the end, what I mean is when you get to that thing that you're calling your goal and you add to it, a lot of hard work went into it. But it's a lot easier to do than you think. The hardest part is starting. How many people in here do not exercise because they feel they can't? How many people in here do not exercise because they don't want to? How many people in here do not exercise because they think they're going to fail when they do it or get sick? How many people in here are not alive? Because I've asked a bunch of questions, and I know a lot of people haven't raised their hands, which is okay, because I'm going to come and raise your hand for you. Last night we did a talk, and it was a good group of people. You guys are a great group of people too as well, because I've heard the questions that you guys had, and when I asked you guys before I started speaking, I got the same sort of questions from everybody. Some people said they just wanted to hear me speak. I said, what do you want to learn from this? I said, I just want to hear you speak. Well, here I am, I'm speaking. I can talk forever, but I want you to go home with useful information. Exercise and MS go hand in hand. You have to do it. I don't think there's too many doctors that say don't exercise because you have MS, unless you have some kind of major autonomic problem with your autonomic nervous system, where your blood pressure and your heart rate are off. And don't use that as an excuse not to exercise unless your doctor's told you that. Because there's a lot of excuses to not exercise. There's a lot of reasons not to. But I can't tell you any that are as good as what you get out of it. I mean, that's the take-home message, obviously, is to do it. Just do it. You don't have to wear Nike. I do. But just like Nike says, just do it. And don't say you're going to do it. Don't say you tried. Don't say you wanted to do it. I'd rather someone, if I ask someone if they exercise, I'd rather them tell me what they do, not what they're going to do or what they think they're going to do or what they'd rather do or any of that kind of stuff, because you've already started making excuses. And if you can live with it, then guess what? You're going to die with it sooner than you would have had you not done it. I don't know how else to put it, but if you exercise and you eat healthy and you have good mental strength, and that goes with diet and exercise, because if you can't mentally see it and it's not mentally there, physically it will never happen. If it happens, it'll happen once, and it's called luck. But if you can see yourself doing it and envision it happening, then the next time you do it, because I'm hoping that means that you guys are going to do it, you can build on it and you can remember. And it's important to do it. If you have, how many people in here exercise with somebody else? I know that, okay, now I got some hands up. That's good. Because if you're exercising with somebody else, they're going to be able to see things that you're doing that you can't see. Notice things. Also, if you were to get hurt, there's someone there to help you. It's really, really important, because if you ever did get injured exercising and you're alone, you're in trouble. You're in big trouble. And that's one of the things that people don't understand, is exercise is a science. But the easy part about exercise is just doing a little bit more every day than you do. That's exercise. People don't like the word exercise. Let's call it movement. Do you want to move more? How many people in here would like to move more that don't? More efficiently, faster, quicker, How many people in here want someone to say, my goodness, you look like you're so much better physically fit than the last time I saw you? You know how much work that would take for you to do and how great that would feel? Well, don't make excuses. It's a new year, and like I said last night, this is the year. This is the year I've been waiting for. Because you know what they say about hindsight? 2020. Yep, so we're there. This is 2020, so at the end of this year, your goal is to hopefully do twice as much as you did this year, and think, wow, am I going to be able to do that? Because I got a lot done this year. I'm going to take this out. Anybody in here have any questions about exercise quickly? I'll read just a quick blurb as I get this out. You guys know exactly what you do, and you guys have a routine and program, and so I don't need to talk anymore. You guys know exactly what. I'll keep talking, because if I don't, I know you guys aren't. All right, I got to ask that question. Anyone in here a massage therapist? All right. I was hoping to get a massage. I'm just kidding. I like to use these tables for two reasons. One is the knees for the people in the back that can't see, like the camera. You can see what I'm doing. I'm just going to get on here and I'm going to show you some exercise that you can do in a seated position and laying down. But how many people could do this if they were sitting on a high chair? Okay. Well, so for knee extension, this is just the basics. Single joint exercise. Single joint exercise is something like a curl, an extension, a curl, flexion. That's easy. It's not multi-joint. It's not as functional, but to preserve range of motion, which is key, just when you're sitting down, if you squeeze here, or if you bring this in, squeeze back here. You guys ever do that when you're sitting down? You realize that while you're sitting, you can do exercise? Just move more while you're sitting. I got furniture sliders. I'll show you what they are. But if you put those under your chair and we're just doing stuff like this, to go back and forth, guess what you're doing? Twice as much as what you were going to do if you didn't have that there. That's burning calories. Every bit that you move is burning calories. All the garbage food that you eat, that's putting calories in you. In order for that to be burned off, you've got to move. You have to move. How many people in here played sports when they were kids? How many people in here didn't play sports when they were kids? In the neighborhood, playing with friends, that's what I'm talking about. The kind of sports that you really don't win, because when I was a child and I played in the neighborhood, I don't remember winning or losing. I have no recollection of that. And right now is the first time I really thought about that. But, you know, we played basketball, we played football. Everybody, every day it was a different team. You know, you got the kids over here, the kids over there. You have two captains. We'd pick who was who. But I don't remember winning or losing, but I remember having a hell of a good time. And that's what you guys should remember about activities that you did as a child, is how much you had fun. Fun is something that we want. It doesn't mean hard work. That you're gonna sweat too much and that you're gonna get hurt, because how many people in here overdo it when they exercise because they have MS? Raise your hand. How many people have done it, have overdone it? So this is the most amount of people that I've ever had in a room, including like a room of 250, 300, 400 people, raise their hand when I said that, because the majority of people are so afraid of overdoing it that they don't do anything at all. But if you have overdone it, you know what that means? That means you found your limit. And when you know what else it means, if you get close to that limit and stop at the right time and keep doing that, this is what happens. It goes from here, here, here. So you're going to raise your potential. And there's nothing better than raising that. Because reaching your potential is one thing, but continuing to reach and reach and reach and raise that and raise that and raise that, you'd be surprised what you'd be able to do. I mean, and think about overcoming things. I mean, there was a time I couldn't walk. I know there's people in the room here that can't right now, and there's people in the room that probably haven't been able to at some point. But to be told you'd never walk again in your life, that's like getting knocked out, like a chin punch, right in the chin jars your brain. But to actually get up and prove somebody wrong, because, you know, who's to say that you're not going to be able to walk again? That's someone's opinion. It doesn't, I mean, I get it if you have a severed spinal cord or something like that, but there's hope. So if somebody were to say, you know what, I know that you're not able to walk right now, but you know what, you have a fighting chance. It's a lot better than saying, I don't think it's going to work out. To me, you tell me I can't do something, unless it's something I really shouldn't be doing, I'm going to do it. I'm going to try and do the best I possibly can each attempt I do, and hopefully it's better than the last one. And if not, it's called a setback, and we all have setbacks. You know what that means? It doesn't mean end and quit. It means start again. And chances are, if you've done a program and you've worked out and you've strengthened your body and you've gotten yourself acclimated to a gym or whatever scenario it is, your setback is going to set you so far back that it's going to be almost to where you were before. But all that exercise, imagine that, all the exercise that you did in the past year or whatever amount of time you do it is going to leave you better off if something were to happen. I used to always ask people, if everybody in the room was told that you were going to be in an accident in 3 months and you may or may not make it out of the accident, but if you were to exercise and have a healthy lifestyle for the next 3 months, your chances are going to exponentially rise of living. How many people in here would exercise and live a healthier life? Raise your hand. So all the people who didn't raise your hand, I'm assuming, are willing to die. You know, it's right. No, that's not the case. But I've asked that so many times, and then it's happened. I've had people that I've worked with who've been in horrible accidents, and their doctors have said, you know what? If you weren't in the shape that you were in, you wouldn't have walked out of that alive. You know, and that happens. And you know, it's people close to me it's happened to. And then I felt bad. I'm like, I've said this all this time, and it was like I didn't create that. But guess what? When you have MS, or if you have any other kind of illness, and there's something that can exacerbate it, that exacerbation is the accident. And if you go into something like that strong, and let's say you're down for 2, 3, 4 months, at the end of those 3, 4 months, if you've been, strength training and cardiovascularly being fit, you're going to be all right. Things are going to be okay. And I want you guys to all say that right now. Everything's going to be all right.
Everything's going to be all right.
Doesn't that feel good to say? Because if you came in here, and I know there's some people came in here with their heads down and stuff, but if you truly believe that things are going to be okay, and you feel positive about what's going to come later today and tomorrow and the next day, life's going to be a lot better for you. It's not going to be all about the double espresso, frappuccino, cappuccino, that type of stuff. I don't go with the milk stuff. I just take like the 4 shots of espresso first thing in the morning. I drink it hot. Sometimes I'll put sugar in it, sometimes I won't. I don't care about the little bits of sugar like putting in coffee, unless I was going to drink it all day long and have 40 packs of sugar. But I'll burn it off. I'll burn it off. I do it. I'm trying to add. I've tried. I can eat unhealthy, and I'm not going to gain weight at this point, I think. But I won't try that. I enjoy healthy foods and desserts. Fruit. Come on, fruit's got fructose in it. It's a lot quicker to. It's a lot slower to get into your system. It's not like table sugar or like white bread. White bread, the sugar gets into your system, into your blood and everything much faster than any other kind of sugar. That's the highest glycemic index there is. So anybody, you don't have to raise your hand if you're diabetic, but if you're diabetic, you shouldn't be eating white bread. It's the worst. It's worse than having a spoon of table sugar. How many people in here can do a squat? I ask this every time. How many people cannot do a squat? How many people know that they can't do a squat because they failed doing a squat? How many people in here that failed doing a squat thought that a squat meant that you had to go all the way down to a sumo squat? A squat can be something as simple as this, or it can be something as difficult as this, all the way down and up. And did you guys hear my knees cracking? You know what that means? That means whoever heard it's got really good hearing. Now everybody asks the question, oh, my shoulder cracks and it does this. Well, if it doesn't hurt, don't worry about it. Talk to the doctor about it. But joints pop, crack, they make sounds. There's tendons that go over stuff. Things happen. I'm going to bring this up here. If this chair is too difficult to stand out of, which if you're in a chair right now, you're going to probably end up getting out of it, right, somehow, even if it's with help. But if you can't do this, which is the same form as a squat, if you can't do that, I like to add this. It's an unstable surface, but that's not the point. The point is it's raising it. You can put anything you want in a seat to make it easier to do a stand, but if you do this enough times, you've done sets of squats. I've had somebody with primary progressive MS, had it for years, that was doing literally almost 200 squats in a session. And guess what? She didn't start out doing that. She started out doing 5. And then it was 6, and then 7, and then there was a second set, and the second set was 10, and a 10 after 10, and then added weights to it. I've got somebody that didn't think he could do any. This was about a year ago. And I've got him doing them with medicine ball. I started him out, the first thing I gave him was a 4-pound medicine ball, and then I gave him a 5-pound and an 8-pound and a 12-pound, and now I got him doing it with a kettlebell, and one after another. Now I don't have him do this, okay, 15 stands. Now do 15 more stands. No, when somebody's doing something with their legs, and it sounds redundant, but if you're doing a leg exercise, when the leg exercise is finished, doesn't mean the workout's finished. Doesn't mean you have to sit down and do nothing. It means do something with a different body part. Let the legs rest while something else is doing something. Utilize your time. Who in here values their time? Who in here values their health? Right? Is there a value? Can you put a monetary value on your health? Can you put a monetary value on time? You don't get time back. So I want you to go home with something today with the time you spent here, and you shared your time with me. I appreciate that. You know, because all of you came here and you're listening to me speak and you listened to Megan speak before, and MS Views News put a phenomenal thing together for you guys to go home with knowledge. And you guys did something different than you would have done. And that's, to me, I'm grateful that you guys shared your time with me and allowed me to, you know, give this presentation. I want to know more. I want to know more about what you guys want to hear. And when I did talk, some people said they want to know about strength training. You know what strength training is? It's anything against resistance. And it doesn't have to even be movement. You can do this. This is strength training. If you think you can stand like this for 10 minutes and that's not strength, that's strength. That's just isometric strength. That's out with the absence of movement, which is a good thing for some people, because some people can get into a different position, hold it, a different position, hold it, and you're going through the whole strength of the whole range of motion. And strength training preserves range of motion. How many people in here have problems with flexibility and range of motion? All right. A lot of you raise your hands. What are you doing about it? Move. Move, then stretch if you want to stretch. I personally, I do not do static stretching on myself. A static stretch is this. You know, like we used to know in PE, they'd tell, well, in PE, how many people in here remember the hurdler stretch where you put your knee back like this and you reach forward? Don't do that. They took that away. They took it away because you got a medial collateral ligament, a lateral collateral ligament, and when you put pressure like this and here, you're putting so much pressure in your medial collateral ligament it could cause long-term problems. So what's the fix? The modified hurdler stretch. Now, if you're going to do that without loosening up first, be very cautious. It's important to loosen up, warm up before you stretch, because muscles are elastic and they can break and they can snap, but if they're warm, you can do a little bit more with them. How many people here have flexibility routines that they do? And I don't mean like stretching in the morning like this. That doesn't count. Do you guys stretch? Like I was saying, if you have a full body workout, you're going to get that range of motion in, but you can add a little bit to it. There's some trouble spots that we have. Calves cramp up, and there's lots of, some people have a lot of spasticity in their calves, in their calves. Pulling your foot back this way, that's a way to stretch your calf. If you're sleeping and it's at night and you get a cramp in your calf, and that's painful. How many people have that happen to? I tell people, put a towel next to them in bed. Wrap the towel around their foot and pull. Because once you start bending it, it's going to get up into your hamstring, into your lower back. The bottom of your foot's going to be looking like this. You don't want it looking like an eagle's claw, you know? That's not how your foot should look. But if you go to bed hydrated, that doesn't mean that you have to drink a huge water. That means you have to be hydrated throughout the day. You know, sometimes people think, well, I got to be hydrated for sleep. Well, you're not going to sweat a lot when you sleep, but you are going to breathe a lot, and you do lose a lot of water from breathing. That's where we lose the most amount of our fluids, is out of our mouth, from our lungs. It's not always sweat. Florida might be, but not everywhere. What about hip flexors? Anybody have hip flexor tightness? Anybody in here? Is this the right room? And I'm going to get back to what I was going to tell you about this. But hip flexors get tight. There's a lot of ways that you can stretch a hip flexor. Does anybody in here know how to stretch the hip flexor? I'm going to show you a few ways that you can stretch them. The first way, I'm going to start at a difficult thing, because a lot of you are going to say, oh gosh, I can't do that. Then I'll show you different ways. Well, I can do that. And someone else is going to say, well, that's still too difficult. And then I'll show them an easier way. And if they don't have anything else and I don't have the answer for them, I'll get you guys up here and show you how to do it. But this is one way you can stretch your hip flexor. You see, not here. That's stretching my quads, my vastus group. But the hip flexors have to come into a little bit of a hyperextension of the hip. So that's this muscle right here, or this group of muscles. Those are responsible for doing this. Sometimes you can't because it's too tight. You go to the grocery store, you will notice people with tight hip flexors walking like this. that don't have any kind of neurological problems, but you'll see them walking like this. You guys know what that walk's like? That means someone's been sitting at a desk their whole life, not doing anything but working. And they work and they work and they sit that way. And then finally, after years, they retire and they realize that, oh my God, I've been sitting my whole life and these are so tight, I can't even straighten up. Can't take a long step because your hip flexors are tight. So if your hip flexors are tight, the leg behind you is the one that's going to have a problem. You step forward, this one here has to bend and come forward because it's tight and it's pulling you down. One of your hip flexors comes through your abdomen and pulls on your lumbar spine, your psoas, then you got a bad back. So the more you stand, the more you move, the better off you're going to be. So that's one way to stretch the hip flexors, by doing that. Anybody think that's a little bit difficult to do? Then you can also do it like this. So what you're going to do is back foot bent, knee here, and dip down, lean back. Same position that my leg is in. And if that's too difficult, you can have somebody help you stretch. And when you're laying down, they can help you by doing this. Not just this though. Knee up a little bit off the table, lift it up, even if it's a hair. That'll get it more. And if that doesn't work, I got an easy one for you. Actually, I want to get a volunteer. Who wants to come? Who wants to see what it's like to stretch their hip flexors? The easiest hip flexor stretch that I got for you. Come on up. So remember, movement, no matter which way you move, you've got two muscle groups. You got the agonist and the antagonist, and you don't want them to fight each other. So what I want you to do is have a seat up here. Okay. First thing is, let me see something. Can you lift this knee up? Okay. Now, you lift this one up. So you got strength in your hip flexors. Do you mind laying down? Yeah, you can take a nap, but everyone's going to be gone when you wake up. Okay, I want you to slide over this way a little bit. Okay, what I want everybody to see is, keep coming. I'm not going to let you fall. If you do, everybody will get out of here. No. Okay, take this leg. Now imagine this is your bed right here. Now just let it go. Can you feel your hip flexor stretching? If that's not enough, now do you feel it?
Yeah.
More? A lot. Or you can let it go more and hang down and push down like this. I'll show you another way to do it is, and this is the way I can see if somebody's hip flexors are tight or not. Bend this knee. So watch this leg. You see this leg coming up? So while that's coming up, you feel it up in here? Mm-hmm. That's when somebody else was helping you do it. Remember, these have to be when you're warmed up a little bit. But doing the one down here, I mean, that's just hanging your leg off the bed. If you're laying down, you hang your leg off the side. How hard is that? It's simple. It's very easy. It just takes a teeny bit extra work than laying in bed. Let me help you up because I don't want you to go up to the side. So try what I was doing here. When you're sitting there, just straighten your leg out and squeeze. And now bend it. Now let it bend. Now bring it up and squeeze again. If you're sitting on a couch and you did something like this, how difficult is that for you if you're able to do that movement?
That's why I do this all the time. Yeah.
That's good. I mean, you keep movement. Moving is key. You know what happens if you don't move enough? You won't be able to move enough. And that goes for so many different things. Anybody, you can step down, but thank you for help. Thank you for coming up. I'm going to get somebody else up here. Who else wants to be a volunteer? Come on. Don't make me pick you out of the crowd.
You got one right there with their hand up.
Okay, come on. I couldn't see you because there's a light behind you. Okay, what type of exercise do you have? Do you have any questions? No? Do you exercise?
Yes.
Do you have any difficulties with anything that you do in your exercise or something that you'd like to do a little bit, step it up a little bit? Or are you content with the maintenance program? Walking. Okay, so what's the problem when you walk?
My foot drops, so I tend to
Does it drop right off the bat when you start walking or after you get tired?
probably after I get tired.
Okay, so you know what that means? You know what the best thing to do when you're tired is? Take a break.
Take a break, yeah.
And that's simple, right?
True.
And then go back to walking. But if you stop walking because your foot's starting to drop and you don't realize it just needs a couple minutes to rest and then you can walk a little more, you're selling out. So that's how you can get a little bit further. And when you stop, find something that's interesting to do. I mean, if you're walking for exercise, that is. And then what you can do is time it. And you time yourself and see how far you can get without your foot dropping. Maybe you're going to increase it. Maybe you have some neuroplasticity going on. That's something that exercise can help with. It's shown to help with memory. In other illnesses, it's shown dramatically to Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, MS. The studies are still out, but the studies out of Hamburg a couple of years ago came back showing that that it did help with neurotropic growth factor in the brain, which helps with memory. So walking, what else do you do? So there's a lot of things that you don't do because you don't think about it, right?
Yeah, well, I mean,
I'm just
I
asking
do
her questions.
exercise.
If yeses and nos, I'm gonna repeat it to her.
I follow a lady that's called Fabulous 50. She does exercises for women over 50.
Okay, so she follows something called Fabulous 50 that's for people that are over 50. That's great and all, but there's not an exercise that you have to start doing when you turn 50. It's a good thing because you're following a program. I'm not the biggest fan of following videos because you're following somebody else's program, basically. You can take from that program and steal parts of it and say what's best for me and then do them and that type of stuff. Because if you get someone that says, I know what the best exercise is for MS, you know what that means? They're full of something.
Exactly.
Because everybody's different. Everybody's a little bit different. If you tell someone the best exercise for someone with MS is lifting your knee up 10 times like this, and someone says, well, what if I can't lift my knee up? Well, then that person's failed, right? No, they didn't fail. The person who told them to do it did. So for walking, have you ever tried walking against resistance? Stand right there. We don't have much room here, but what I want you to do is put your hands against my hands. Now take a step forward. Take a step forward. Oh, yeah, go ahead. Can you feel your abs?
Yeah.
Because your abs are getting a workout doing that. If you had so the reason why her abs are getting a workout by pushing something and staying upright is because, watch this, if my abs didn't work, this is what would happen. I'd push myself away, but my abs are keeping me erect. So now, come forward, from your hands. Now walk backwards. Do you know what's working now?
Feels like around my back and stuff.
Yeah, she said around her back. Her lower back is working to prevent her from falling forward, the opposite of what I just did. Now, if I were to now face this way. Now put your hands straight in front of you. Now push that way. You feel that in your core? Now push the other way. I want to even it out. So that's without movement. That's absent movement. She's working rotational muscles. So people who have bad backs, problems, they may get a little bit more of a benefit doing something without movement to strengthen the core. How many people in here want a stronger core? Do you know why you want a stronger core if you're one of them? Why do you want a stronger core? Balance. And so your extremities work better. Because if I had no core and you're pushed down on my arm, if I had no core, this is what would happen. So when you're walking even just a simple pace of walking, you need to have core muscles because when you walk, you're not just on one plane of motion. You're not just going linear. You're actually doing rotational movements. You see that? And especially if you're going to walk fast, you have to rotate. But if you don't walk fast, if you don't walk with rotation, people will notice it because you end up doing the Frankenstein walk. And not too many people do that. You got any other questions about exercise? You know everything.
No, I don't know everything.
Anything else you want to know about? Think. You got it? Okay. Thank you very much. Great. So another thing that you can do is, how many people here know how to do bridges? How many people in here that know how to do bridges do them? That's core. That's all. She's doing core exercises. See that? That was something I was talking about last night. I'll talk about that later, maybe afterwards. But that's just leaning one side. If you can lean one side of your chair and not fall out of it, you have a strong core. It's adequate. It's adequate enough to keep you in your seat. How many people in this room can stand up? Can. Yeah, can. Okay, how many people in here cannot stand up? How many people in here that can't stand up, that didn't raise their hand, just can't raise their hand? Because I didn't get everyone's hand. I want everybody in the room that can safely stand up to stand up right now. And if you don't mind, once you're up, if you didn't have a tough time doing that and it was safe, I want you to sit down and stand back up just one more time. Only if it's safe, though. Okay, you guys just did 2 more squats than you would have done had I not said to do that. I'm not going to be around tomorrow to tell you to do these things. But you can do this. You realize that? You guys have the ability to do it. And the only way that it's going to happen is if you're willing to do it. You guys can have a seat again. The willingness to do it supersedes what you want and what you can and what you should. Because if you don't have the willingness to do it, it's not going to happen. It has to be for you. How many people in here are grandparents? How many people in here are parents? How many people in here at some point had parents? How many people in here are not here? All right. So for me, I want to be in the best shape that I can possibly be in all the time because I have a child. And I want my child and myself to have a good relationship and be able to do a little bit more than what we would have been doing if I'm not in shape. But what better reason is to be a participant? Our whole lives we want to participate. At some point we fall into the spectatorship. We'd rather be participants than spectators. And grandparents are, you guys want to spoil your kids, you got to keep up with them. That's what, I didn't realize what being a grandparent was all about. I'm not a grandparent, but my parents are, and they spoil my daughter. And they also have to follow her and chase after her, and now she's older, so they have to be in shape just to be, adequate grandparents. You guys need to do that just to be part of society. You guys want to be a positive part of society. You guys want to give and be, you teach something that you learned in here today, you want to be able to tell to somebody else. Hopefully while you're standing up, walking. I'm going to come back here someday and I'm going to see some of the same faces in here and I'm going to ask you, what did you do since I saw you last? And I want something substantial. I told you I was going to get back to this, but this is a 15-pound kettlebell. Some people with this, I just have them walk around with it. I have somebody who's going to kill me when they see this because it's on video that has a 2-story place. We work out on the 2nd floor, and what I do is every so often I'll have a medicine ball, which I got a few medicine balls over there, or this kettlebell, and I'll say, okay, we're going to go downstairs and do an exercise. And I say, come with me. So we go downstairs, and I always forget something from upstairs. I say, okay, we're going to go back up and get it. So we go back upstairs. There's 2 flights of stairs to get up there. And we come back down, and I'm like, then I'll tell them, whatever the exercise that we would have done upstairs, we do it downstairs. And then I give them the medicine ball, and I say, all right, you take this, we're going to go back upstairs. We went upstairs. And then she says, why do we do that? And I said, because if I told you to go down and up the stairs 3 times carrying a medicine ball, you would have argued with me about it. So you got to trick people into doing things that they can do. And if you're watching this, we're going to do this again next week. And we're going to keep doing that. But I want you to want to do it because you can. And you're able to. And anything that you're able to do that you don't do is worthless. Do more, get more out of life, enjoy life more, smile more. I guarantee you, with results come smiles. You're happy when you succeed. You're upset when you fail. But guess what? The more you fail, the closer you are to success. And if you don't believe me, read about Thomas Edison. You know, he said it took him 10,000 times of failure to figure out how to do something correctly. Thanks to him, you guys can see me. We got lights in here. You know, that's taking failure to another level. So don't be scared to fail. If something doesn't work, replace it with something else. Don't eliminate it. And do more. So any questions? We're going to go into some Q&A. We'll wait a second on that since
Good job.
we're going to.
Cameras and Q&A. By the way, everybody, ask them to warm up the room, all right? Because you guys are looking like it's going to snow.
Well, at first it was hot. Now it's cold, hot and cold, right? It was like
Right.
it's okay. So I want to know.
I did warn you all to wear jackets, didn't I? Sweaters or something? Thank you. Good. Otherwise, yeah, I'm good. I know that. Thank you, though. Who's got a question for Jeff? Anybody? Somebody got a question. That's why they put a microphone in my hand.
If you guys don't have a question, I'm going to call you up here and people can ask questions about what you guys are doing.
All right. Who wants to know what time of day they should be doing this best?
Anytime.
Very good. Good answer.
The best time to exercise for people with MS is the time that you're most willing to do it. So the way I ask and try to get people to do stuff when it comes to timing is put it in your schedule 10 times a day. If you fail 9 times, you've got a 100% success rate for the day because you did it once. That's it. You get 9 more tries, then 8 more tries, and eventually you'll be like, gosh, you know, I got to just get this over with. And then when it's done, you realize you were able to do it and it wasn't so bad.
Thank you.
So how long did it take you to get the attitude that you have as far as your health? Like you just truly wanted to be healthier?
Since I was 6 years old,
Wow.
I've wanted it so bad because I was the youngest kid in my neighborhood, and if I didn't go out and do a little bit more, I'd be doing nothing because they said, no, you're too young. So I wanted to participate. I used to watch the kids outside my window do stuff, and I said, I want to do that. And eventually I did it, and I realized if I don't get out there and do something, I'm not going to get out there and do anything, and I did. So ever since then, that set the tone for like what I really believe in, what's great. That's wanting to be a participant.
Anything else? Anybody else? Yes, we need you to fill out seminar evaluation forms, all right? We need you to fill that out. Thank you. I'd be running, but I can't.
I walk, and I started out of just doing 1 mile, and I made it up to 3 miles. But my question is, when I get through with that walking, you know, when you're saying the stretching or whatever, and I do it like maybe every other day. I was doing it every day, then I stopped, and I do it like every other day. So in between there, what kind of, you know, when you say strength, what are you talking about? You know, that I could
Like
do?
on the days that you're not walking?
Right.
Well, first off, when you are walking, it's okay to stretch after you walk. That's when you're going to be warmed up and it's going to be easier to stretch. On the days in between, do some resistance exercise. Resistance is what gives you shape. It's what makes your muscles show. It's what makes you have the ability to move things around and do more. Walking is aerobic. It's to me, it's great. If it's a difficult thing, it could be exercise, but it's also a form of transportation. So you want to step it up a little bit. But doing something resistance, push-ups, if you think you can't do push-ups, think about push-ups in a different way than you thought about them. You know, do them up against a wall, do them up against a chair. If you can do a regular push-up, do a regular push-up. If you only know how to do a girl push-up, then you're, it doesn't mean that you can't do a guy push-up. We allow women to do guys push-ups. In fact, I think it's horrible that they ever taught women push-ups because when they did teach that, guys and girls were just as strong. In fact, girls were probably stronger than guys because they were bigger and matured quicker. So push-ups, something against the wall. Remember, you guys were standing and sitting out of the chair. If that's too low, raise it, do a little bit more. Get something like this, medicine ball, throw it at the ground, throw it at your neighbor. No, don't throw it at your neighbor, but unless you don't like them, but they'll come back after you. But throwing something like this at the ground really feels good because you can get anger. If you're mad, it feels good to throw something at the ground. And guess what? I've had people do sets of 15 slams, and I hope they're not watching this, but they also learned how to do deadlifts while doing the slams. Because when you pick it up, that's a deadlift. You see the motion I'm doing? It's not a squat. So you're coming up and you're getting glute work. Strongest muscle in your body, least utilized. You sit on it all day. Next question.
Do you have YouTube videos or some type of videos available online that could offer suggestions as to exercises that we could do?
Okay, so let's say you were to watch the video, 'cause let's say you forgot everything that I talked about in here today, and you wanted a reference to what we're doing today. I gave you some tips here and there. I really wanted some more questions because I got thousands and thousands of exercises that I could show you. But everything that I did show you is available to be seen on YouTube on the MS Views and News YouTube Learning channel. And I've got lots and lots and lots of presentations that I've done, as well as others have on there. So you can just search in the search engine, but that's where you can find me on, is
You can find it right on our website is what he's talking about.
on YouTube. It's YouTube, the website. You can link it to the from the website, but
Right.
the answer is yes.
Yes, on our YouTube channel, which you get to from the website, or you just know it. I'll tell you later.
It's kind of a more specific question. So I have frozen shoulder in both shoulders, but to exercise on my own, like get a stretch, what can I do when I don't need anybody to help me? Like stretch
For your
hands?
shoulder,
Yeah.
shoulder. Okay, your
Both of them.
frozen shoulder became frozen because you stopped taking it into the range of motion, or you stopped being
both.
able to take it into the range of motion. You should see a physical therapist to help you with that, because that is an injury. That's what we call an injury that has to be fixed. Something has to be changed. Or,
Yeah, I did a while ago. I have to go back.
yeah,
since
go
I
back to the
moved.
physical therapist, because in the time that you haven't been, I'm sure it's gotten a little bit worse. But some ways that you can help with the frozen shoulder is getting a towel, throwing it over your shoulder, or and just holding it, with this one, pulling it up. But you need another person, especially someone that's a professional when you have something like that, because that's your tendon getting shortened, and we call that a contracture. So tendons don't get longer.
Hey there. I have a problem with my knee. That's my whole problem walking, is that my left knee will not bend when I walk. So I feel like it's just I'm walking straight-legged. And
Okay, that's the reason. Okay, do you know why that's happening?
no, it just
wait.
gradually started doing that.
Does it, when you get into your car, do you have to kind of lift your legs sometimes?
Yes.
Okay,
Oh,
that's
my
a form
Lord.
of spasticity.
Okay.
You've got what's called muscular co-contractions. That's your agonist versus the antagonist fighting against each other. And if there's no winner, it's a stalemate, and it's like this. It'd be like your bicep and your tricep. If my bicep was flexing. Now, when you flex a muscle, you have to flex the opposite side, or else it would keep going,
Right.
and you tear your arm up. But that's what's happening to your leg. And
Well, is it the knee? Is it the?
it's the muscles. It's the muscles. It's the it's the signal that's getting there. That's another thing where physical therapy would probably be helpful. But warm your leg up and do some stretching with it. You can warm your leg up passively, like wrapping something warm, wet towel all around your leg, stretching your hamstring, stretching your quads. The stuff I was showing you up here.
Okay.
That type of stuff will help as long as you use it.
Okay. Game pad.
Any other questions?
Come on. I want some good questions. I've got some good ones. I want better ones. I want ones
If
that
you don't
guys
ask
said, "I
another
can't
question, I'm going
believe
to tell
it."
them to make it colder in here.
Yeah.
Right. And we'll lock the doors.
Come on. I want someone to throw a question at me. Someone's going to ask me something when you leave, and I'm going to say, hey, you had your chance. Now, I always stick around and answer the questions that people don't want to ask. So if you are afraid to ask a question, whisper it to the person next to you and let them ask it, please. Because I guarantee you that whatever questions you guys have, other people have the same questions, and it's going to help them as well.
Okay, Jeff. I think we're done for the night. Everybody give Jeff a round of applause.
Thank you, guys.
Now, I do have to ask you all to do a little bit more exercise here today. I need you to use your arm motion and fill out those seminar evaluation forms, all right? If you liked what this program was about today, we want to hear from you. If you want us back again sometime later on this year or next year, I can only ask that you put it down and that if you have a suggestion of something that you want to have a type of speaker here, maybe a urologist, a neuro-ophthalmologist, pain management, maybe a cannabis doctor, all right? Write it down, all right? If there's enough of the same thing, we will have that person here, okay? Yes, I know it's cold. And guess what? We were told that we can't make it warmer. That's right. The maintenance man is gone for the day. All right. Anyway, everybody, I want to thank you again for being here today, and I do also ask that you drive home carefully, all right? Thank you very much.
Thank you.